and 4 games in all, the largest format ever to take place. But in the end, there'll be just one winner. So will it be the crowned kings of world football? Who will be crowned? Would it be a knockout of one of the big guns? And who could cause a surprise? And what should we make of all of this and this new format? We'll see more teams go through to the knockout stage than not. We'll be sending out our own Selena Sykes to cover everything in the United States in just a couple of days' time, Selena.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be following France, so allez le bleu.
But we're going to keep you with us for now for tonight. Emily Boyle will be reviewing all the action for us in the mornings with me as well, and you'll be here over the weekends throughout the tournaments.
Yeah, I'll be cheering on Switzerland up Suisse.
And we've got to have one for Switzerland here. And Ruben Sykes, very happy to have you back. And of course, you'll be one of our regulars on the midday show, 1:30 p.m. of course in Paris. And we know that you are supporting, of course.
I'm supporting Curaçao, but I'm from the Netherlands.
There's some kind of connection going over just there. We're so less than an hour away from kickoff. Let's just head to Mexico, where everything is then taking place. There is the opening ceremony happening as we speak. And we're going to head then to Johan Grillo, who's outside the Azteca Stadium just over there. Johan, legendary stadium. I can imagine there's a pretty big fever going on around the country and in Mexico City. There's games taking place in 3 different stadiums over there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the atmosphere is quite incredible. The opening ceremony was very interesting. They had a lot of very Mexican kind of Aztec symbols, as well as modern music, a lot of mariachi, ranchero, a lot of like reggaeton. So really electric atmosphere at the stadium and around the fan fests of people making a lot of noise. At the same time, there's still protests quite close to here and some tension, but most people are starting to get lost right now in the atmosphere and the euphoria of football itself.
And what are the hopes then for the home team over there? I mean, Mexico have got quite a calibrated group, I can perhaps say. South Korea, on their side. Czech Republic also in there. What do you think?
Well, Mexico is a home team, a lot of enthusiasm right now, and they did very well in the friendly games in the lead up to the World Cup. Now, historically, Mexico is not a Brazil, it's not an Argentina, it doesn't have World Cups to its name. The furthest it's got is to the quarterfinals, but if it can get to the quarters, the semis, or all the way, you never know. And Mexico does also have the novelty of having the youngest player in the tournament of 17 years old. So let's see. I mean, we hope today, or the Mexican fans are hoping, that South Africa won't ruin the party and the Mexican team will bring it home with all this euphoria right now in the city.
Yeah, definitely hope they can keep the spirits high there in Mexico City at the legendary then Azteca Stadium, where the ceremony is happening as we speak. We'll come back to you a little bit later in the show, Johan. Thank you very much for now. I'd like to just ask you all guys here on set, how are you feeling on your side about this World Cup? Ruben?
Very double feeling, like everyone, I think. We'll just had the debate here before, so we're not going to do the debate all over again. But yeah, there's so much going on around. The fact that we're already talking a bit more about Mexico right now is, I think, a very positive thing, because yeah, the main focus for now has mostly been about the United States. There's of course also the football part, and then yeah, of course the moment it will start, it's still World Cup. So yeah, seeing football matches between countries and in the end the fight for the title is always exciting to watch. So that will be good. But I think that we will every day have also talks about other things.
Other things, yeah, it's due to come in. Is there anything that you're in particularly excited about, Emily?
I'm particularly excited about discovering some new teams, some first-timers on the world stage for the first time, Chris, that you mentioned earlier on.
With the format, we've got so many smaller teams.
And the format can be debated, but I'm quite glad to see a number of new countries being able to play in front of huge crowds. And for me to be able to watch them, I think it's quite exciting. So I'll be looking out for the newcomers, definitely.
Selena, I'm sure you're happy to be discovering Boston in a couple of days' time, but about the pitches, anything in particular that's caught your eyes, or it's going to all be about France on your side?
Obviously all going to be about France. For us, we'll be following them throughout the tournament, mainly on the East Coast, but we'll be talking about that later on. Obviously, a lot of debate about the heat as well. I've heard some stories about the pitches maybe not being up to scratch, but as we were talking about earlier on, obviously, I think now this is the third World Cup in my memory where there's obviously been a lot of talk beforehand about politics and the host nations. This one feels like there's been a lot more noise than
because we
usual.
had Russia,
but yeah, of course.
and then we had Qatar.
Exactly, and this was supposed to be the one which wasn't supposed to be like that for FIFA. They got awarded this World Cup, the US, when I think Obama was still in charge, so it wasn't supposed to be like this. But here we are. We're talking a lot about politics again. Will that all go quiet once the ball gets kicked? Probably to an extent, but I think compared to Qatar, probably that's still going to be an underlying factor, mainly because obviously Iran will be playing at this World Cup.
Absolutely, yeah. We can't leave any politics out of it, especially when, of course, I mean, it is something that all eyes are going to be drawn attention on. We're going to try and stay out of in this next hour, out of the politics and all. But the question is, are we going to see? We've seen the likes of Donald Trump attend the NBA finals this week. I haven't heard so much though about him attending football game or soccer.
Yeah, it was already talk. There was already a talk about also in the debate that the issue for him is that in the 11 stadiums are all in Democrat cities. So already in the NBA match he was booed and jeered. So yeah, is it out of his interest to go there? Maybe not. It will be for sure. We will hear every day a lot about Donald Trump in whatever way he will be commentating. So yeah, he knows what he's going to do. But yeah, at least tonight we're in Mexico. He won't be there because in general it's not the place where they will really like him, I think. But yeah, it will be a lot about that man, of course. Yeah.
All right, well, it's not just Mexico playing tonight versus South Africa. There's another game coming up later on. That'll be South Korea in the same group then, facing off against Czech Republic, and other co-hosts Canada play Bosnia-Herzegovina tomorrow. Those are the games then to come with the tournament's third co-hosts playing then on their side on Saturday when the United States will be playing Paraguay. Paraguay, who are my second team in the sweepstakes. So go Paraguay on that. Separate opening ceremonies actually taking place in each country. So we've got one taking place now in the Azteca Stadium, but we've got them taking place also in Canada and in the US and in the USA, of course, as well. Trying to get through all of them. But again, I mean, is this we're talking about bringing more money, more everything back into the football, or are we right to be celebrating it in every country?
I don't know, it's so much part of the spectacle. I guess it's an opportunity for people to make a show of themselves and what they have to offer. I think there's probably too much cash being splashed around. We know that it's probably one of the most expensive World Cups, one of the most expensive in terms of its contribution to climate change as well.
Because that's another argument that came up last time round, being the most expensive, but it's exactly the same thing, if not more this time round.
It will probably continue being the same thing year on year because these are the standards that we're setting, which is unfortunate because it takes away from the soul of football. But hopefully some of these ceremonies are also an opportunity to celebrate the sport and celebrate the culture and the fans around it. So yeah, kind of two tones to those ceremonies, I reckon.
All right, well, let's head to the United States and get a bit of a feel of what it's like over there. Wasim Kone, our correspondent, is in Los Angeles. I think we can get through to him now. Wasim, if you're there with us, are you there with us tonight yet? The United States, who will be playing over this weekend. We know last time round, reached the round of 16 in the last tournaments. They drew twice in that group stage. That included a draw to England. They were knocked out after that by the Netherlands. What are the hopes for the United States going into this?
Yeah, the conversation here in the U.S. around Team USA's expected performance is surprisingly pessimistic given the squad that they do have. It's perhaps the deepest, most talented U.S. squad that they've had in recent memory. Some of the top players play in some of the most prestigious European clubs. Many of them have had really, really good seasons. And despite that, there's very little optimism regarding how Team USA will perform over this tournament, especially given that it is one of the host nations. The men of Mauricio Pochettino, he's the former manager of Tottenham, Chelsea, PSG, and when he was hired back in 2024, he was one of the most prestigious hires, arguably the most prestigious hire for Team USA in the team's history. But the honeymoon period hasn't always been easy. The team has, according to many, has lacked identity or had trouble finding its identity, has looked really uneven in some of the most recent friendlies. But some of the star players, you've got Christian Pulisic, he's the star of the player, the player that even casual fans know. He's had a great season at AC Milan. If the team gets to go far, then he will have to be one of the best players. You've also got Tyler Adams, he's the captain, the midfielder. He's one of the team's emotional leaders. Chris Richards, also one of the team's key defenders. Back 4 years ago, he got injured and suffered a hamstring injury just 2 weeks before the roster was announced in the 2022 World Cup. He tore his ligaments 2 weeks again this year prior to the roster being announced, but he said, this is not happening again. I will work hard. He's been working really hard to get back into shape. He is unlikely to be playing against Paraguay this Friday, but if he does manage to get back in shape for the two other games in the group stage, and that will certainly be a very key player in the team. But yeah, they do have some weaknesses, lack of finish. They often create chances but have a hard time really converting them. They do have some inconsistency problems as well. They can be excellent one match and mediocre the next. But as I mentioned, some of the key players in that team already playing, having had a great season in several top European clubs this year. So yeah, tough to know how well they will do. Again, not so much optimism, but on paper they could do quite well. And a lot of American fans remember the 2014 World Cup as their really last fond memory, when they made it to the round of 16, only to fail to Belgium at that point in time.
Indeed, in that game then, their first game coming up tomorrow. I need to ask you, with the game coming up, and there's a lot of talk on this side of the Atlantic, about how in the United States football isn't so big. And of course, there are, the USA do have their own sports, huge leagues of their own. But I don't think that's fair. There are some, diehard football fans as well out there. But I wanted to ask you this, because I was reading an interview of French international Malo Gusto just this morning, who said that when he was in the United States, in New York more precisely in 2018, so 2 tournaments ago, he was trying to watch the final over there. And it took him until the second half until he could actually find a bar to watch the final. So my question is there much feeling that there is, over here, you'll see bars, you'll see cafes advertise the fact that they're, come here, watch the game all together. Do you see any of that? Do you see any, much interest outside on the streets for the tournament over there?
That's such an interesting anecdote, especially if you compare it to the scene in New York last night with the unbelievable comeback, 29-point comeback by the New York Knicks, obviously a hometown team, but just that is what's been captivating Americans' attention here in sports. They are spoiled for choice when it comes to sports. You've got basketball, you've got American football, hockey, baseball. So it is obviously quite hard to pay attention to football, or soccer as they call it here, especially when your national team doesn't typically do well. When football does make headlines here, it's usually the women's national team. They have won 4 World Cups, 5 Olympic gold medals. So that is really what takes the attention when it comes to football here in the United States. And, even after 1994, which was supposed to be sort of a revolution in the world of American sports and bring football to the U.S. for the first time, I think it would be fair to say that the U.S. is still not a nation of sports. But there's definitely been more awareness, especially as I mentioned, since 2014, when they did do quite well in that competition back in Brazil. And of course, you will have pockets of excitement depending on where you come from and what your ethnicity is. Obviously, here in Southern California, if you are Latino, then chances are you will be much more interested in football than the average American. So just as I was driving here, the SoFi Stadium, Los Angeles Stadium behind me is located in a predominantly Latino neighborhood. I was seeing lots and lots and lots of Mexican flags ahead of today's game. So just gives you an indication as to how much difference there is between one group or another.
Really interesting to hear. Thank you, Wasim, for that understanding there from over there in Los Angeles. Americans' interest. There's a lot of American money in any case in European football. We've got investments in England and Wales. Snoop Dogg has even got a stake in Swansea. Ruben, so there is something happening. I mean, we talked there about 94. And the women's football, of course, is huge as well in the US.
Well, the investments in Europe are more because they see an opportunity. I think that's way more important. Yeah, it's more about the money than about the football.
Do they know much about what they're doing?
Well,
Depends.
I'm going to stop saying anything there because there are Americans in charge of my club at the moment, and I think I will go a bit off script. So let's stick to Ruben on this one. But
I think that they know and they are clever.
Because I'm saying that as a joke because there are criticisms that it is a purely financial kind of parachuting in there and just going in for the money for the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
And you can't ignore that side
there
where
are
it's
several
not just...
examples of that at the moment, but is it just down to the Americans, also FIFA as well? They kind of go hand in hand. We obviously see these hydration breaks coming in, and yes, okay, when it's very hot, they are obviously obligatory. They have to be there. But it was very, very bizarre seeing in the friendly France, Ivory Coast, in Nantes, when it was about 15 degrees. Obviously, they're practicing having them because it's going to change the rhythm of the game because they are going to be there regardless of the temperatures. But it's very bizarre seeing that happen when it was 15 degrees and windy in Nantes. And obviously, the initial reaction, obviously, of all advertisers to jump straight on that and ad breaks. And that's not just in America. We watched French games here. They obviously going straight to ad breaks during that. So it's also an opportunity to make some more money.
And nobody's going to say no to the money, especially the fans. I mean, everyone's, when you have, new investors coming in, wherever they're from, whether it's from Saudi Arabia for Newcastle, whether it's from elsewhere in the Middle East, anywhere.
Depends on the club, sorry, but in Germany you still have the rules where you have the 51% rule and where the fans are still the owners. So, yeah, the problem is of course that these days in the UK they can't keep up without foreign investment. So that's just what happened, and it started with Abramovich, and it just went more and more and more and more. And the Americans can also see that there's an interesting investment to make. But is there a proper investment? I mean, we can talk about the Glazers, we can talk about Chelsea, we can talk about Liverpool. Yeah, for me, those are not the best examples on how to organize a club. And if you now look in the Premier League, which clubs are well organized, these are the smaller ones where it's in general there's a proper vision behind it, a Bournemouth or even a Sunderland right now. It's not that there's no money there, but yeah, compared to the big guns. But if I may, just to compare 94 and today, there is a difference, of course, in the US. I mean, 94, there was no interest at all about the whole tournament. I saw a documentary this week about the Dutch team in 94, and if you see how that tournament was organized, literally everything was possible. There were journalists sitting behind the goal, interviewing players during the match, just to compare a bit where we come from and where we are right now. And the MLS has become a bigger league. There's a lot of foreign people in the US with a big interest. Mexican were talked about, but lots of Latin American. So,
and I think in terms of attendance, when you talk about the MLS, it's like the second most popular league in the 2024-2025 season. If you look at ticket sales, it was the second most popular league behind the Premier League. So it's topping European. And then you can say they have huge facilities like these mega stadiums we're seeing here,
which we're going to see throughout the tournament.
Which we're going to see, but it's still testament to this interest, and it's also the third most popular sport when it comes to young people signing up and young people's interests. So in the younger bracket, the younger generations, mostly in communities from South America, it's one of the big sports. So there is some kind of fan interest, and I think we'll be seeing a lot of their fans. Hopefully they have some slightly better chance than the ones that they're known for. Like, I believe that we will win, which is honestly quite rubbish. But there is a lot of passionate people out there, so I think it's encouraging.
But that's also what the World Cup is about, right? I mean, we went to Qatar.
Sure.
And we can still have a big discussion about Qatar, but we can also say about the Qatar World Cup, if you look, for example, for a country like Morocco and the Arab world, it was also groundbreaking for them.
And big attendances from that part of the world as well.
Yeah, I mean, so now we are going to a country, we know what the US is about. We know it's about the money, we know it's about the show, we know it's about halftime shows. Yeah, okay, that's coming with this World Cup. But it's a bit of a strange one because we have like 3 World Cups in one. Because, I mean, the atmosphere in Mexico will be completely different. And how often are we going to talk about Canada? That's very strange.
Kind of left Canada on the side for now. With I mean, we'll see with the first games taking place there, but for now, indeed, all the attention has been mostly on the US, where most games are taking place.
Yeah, it's the biggest country, but it's a very strange tournament. And let's not even talk about the one in 4 years when we.
I was going to say, Emily wasn't enjoying more rounds of football. 64 is the next number of games, next number of teams to come.
48 teams now. How it can only go that way? Surely there are even even the biggest footballing nations in Europe with a lot of infrastructure when it comes to things like that. 48 teams is a lot.
Huge to take
to
on.
host.
We'll talk about all that in just a minute. Let's go to the on-pitch action. Let's talk about a bit for what's to come. Let's predict everything that's going to come. Favourites, France, England, Spain. Do we agree on that?
Oh, I don't know if I put England up there with the big favourites, but France and Spain for me are the big favourites.
France and Spain, is it all clear?
Yeah, we'll add Portugal
Yeah, I wouldn't sleep on Portugal.
as the third one. And again, we are in the Americas, especially when America in the tournaments over there, last one in Brazil, out of the quarterfinalists, there were 4 out of Latin America. We shouldn't underestimate the whole heat part.
It has to be said, I don't think
altitude.
European teams do well in North America. I think only once has a European team won in North America.
Who's going to do well in those heat waves? I mean, Emily's going to talk to us a bit. I've just got some facts about the heat to come. Let's just France 24, Selena going out for France. Let's just have a little focus on there. I mean, so impressive. We've talked about them. You know what they've got. Are they just the perfect team to go out and win the World Cup?
I wouldn't say the perfect team. I don't think the perfect team exists, but obviously a lot of excitement over that attack. And how can you not? It's remarkable. I think they're the most valuable up front at the World Cup, the most valuable team overall at the World Cup. It's a combined 800 million for the 9 attacking players, and the entire squad is worth 1.5 billion. That attack has got everyone envying, really. It has to be by far the best attack with Kylian Mbappe, Ousmane Dembele, Désiré Doué, Ryan Cherki, Michael Olise. Not all of these players are going to start, by the way, and that's going to be the challenge for Didier Deschamps, managing, I don't want to say egos, but managing that, the fact that several big names are not going to be starting. It's going to be an interesting one to see, and also striking that balance. It's quite a funny one because Didier Deschamps is known for being a pragmatic defensive manager. He finds himself with all of this talent up front. Is he going to let them unleash? We'll have to see. He's still very much a pragmatic manager, though he has switched recently his formation in the last 2 years to a 4-2-3-1. So that seems to be opening the door to giving a bit more leeway to the attack. But I think the big thing in this team is going to be managing all these players, because several big names are not going to be starting. I haven't even mentioned Bradley Barcola. There's loads of options for Didier Deschamps up front, and I think that's going to be the thing. Some people saying that is the team a little bit unbalanced because of all of this way up front. I think maybe the one weakness, maybe not weakness, but the one question really is who's going to be starting at left back over Theo Hernandez and Lucas Digne. I think Hernandez has had a lot of injury issues through his career, but I think if he is fit and rearing to go, Didier Deschamps will probably go with him. So yeah, it's a formidable up front, and I think a lot of people are talking so much about the up front elsewhere, midfield and elsewhere, maybe some more question marks, but that up front has obviously got everyone talking and everyone very excited, and we'll have to see if Didier Deschamps lets them run with it and give it what they got, because there's so much talent up front.
Deschamps has got all his experience there as a player, of course, and as a manager, having won as well. New names on the international stage, but not new names in terms of their time. Talk about the likes of Ryan Cherki, the likes of Michael Olise. These are perhaps stars who are set to shine. Would you agree? Are we in for a massive show to see from the French side up front?
Well, I don't know if we're up for as much of a massive show as we've seen in the Champions League, watching Michael Olise and Harry Kane at Bayern Munich. That was just spectacular, and seeing them on opposing sides with managers who are maybe a little bit more aggressive, as you were saying, give players a bit more freedom in how they play. So I'm not sure if it's going to be as kind of like fireworky as we've seen in the Champions League. But, I mean, for sure, these are world-class players. And just look at their last friendly, Michael Olise scored a hat-trick. So,
that last goal.
The last goal. I think it's
if
just
that's
like
a texture of what we're going to get.
Highlight reel upon highlight reel. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. I don't know if it will be as explosive, but I think it will be pretty darn good.
And they'll be based then in Boston. All right.
They are based in Boston, that is right. And they have a pretty, I would say, one of the more favourable geographical, is that the word? Yes, geographical
we
routes,
know what you mean.
shall we say, through the tournament, because obviously you've got some teams who are going to be travelling so much.
They're going to be
France
changing
have got
time
very
zones, some of them.
France have got a very favourable route. So their first match is in New Jersey, then the second one against Iraq in Philadelphia, then they'll be in Boston, and then the rest of it, so you can just see this map here. Obviously, all of it is very much on the East Coast. If everything goes to plan and they finish top of their group, they'll be back in New Jersey for the round of 32. In the round of 16, they'll be back in Philadelphia. Then Boston for the quarterfinals. Their big journey, shall we say, would be for the semi-finals in Dallas, and then they would be, if all goes well, obviously, back in the final for New Jersey. So compared to a lot of these teams,
I was going to say some teams are going to look at that and are going to say, we've been nicked on something, because some teams are travelling from time zone to time zone. Some, like the likes of Iran, who are leaving Mexico to go and play in the US. That's not going to have the same impact on the team.
100%, and France will be really thinking they've got a tough group. This is going to be a difficult group. Senegal, Norway, these are two teams that could really try to cause them some problems, but they'll be thinking it's really pretty advantageous for them to top that group, because geographically it's a big advantage.
All right, well, another team that's got a lot of talent in it. Did you want to say a word on France, Ruben? I can see your eyes lighting up when I was talking about them.
I just hope that finally, after 12 years of Didier Deschamps, that we will finally enjoy the French
Some champagne football.
Yeah, finally.
Let's remind viewers that
bang.
this is going to be his last time with the French team.
Yeah.
That's confirmed. He's leaving after that.
Yeah,
Not confirmed that Zinedine Zidane is coming in afterwards, but it's
quite expected him to come. No, it's just I'm a Dutchman. I like football. I like beautiful football, and I don't like the football of Didier Deschamps. Let's be honest about that. I mean, it's a bit of a difficult one, because he came in 2014, or just before that World Cup. The famous, there was a lot of bad things going on. We had 2010 with not going out of the bus. Then 2012 there
crisis.
was. You had the 2012
strike.
We had the 2012 miracle when they still won with 3-0 against Ukraine at home, and then it started shifting. But what he knows how to do is to manage people, and that's what he will do this tournament as well. But we can't say that over these 12 years that as the football fans in the world, nobody will say outside of France, this French team has left its mark on us, which is a pity, because we are now talking about all these names. This team should be just smashing this whole World Cup. And if they're not going to do that, let's be a bit bold, but then it means that he has been in charge for 12 years and he has won one major tournament. With all the talent that they have, I think
one major tournament, but several finals.
Yeah, I know.
Penalties. Are we going to dispute his
if we analyze them all? Sorry, but we'll do it quickly. I will do it quickly. If you go 2014, that was the first one in Brazil. They get eliminated by Germany. That was the best team that won. 2016 in their own country, super favorable games until the semis against Germany, when they played a good game, and in the final they lose against Portugal, which was a bit of a shame, let's say it that way. 2018 they win. 2021 was against Switzerland. Well, I think someone was happy with that, but that was
probably learned.
That was a disaster. Let's be honest. Then they lose the final against Argentina. Crazy game, crazy tournament, all fine. And they lose last time against Spain. That was again the best team in the tournament. But shouldn't we expect just a bit more? I mean, these are the best 5 attackers.
You're harsh, Ruben.
Yeah, these are the best 5 attackers on the planet.
Yeah, but they've got opposition coming up, and it's a one game thing. Make one error and you're out.
Yeah, I know, but I just want, if they go out, that they then lose 5-4 like Bayern Munich against.
You want to see a proper fight out there, and not coming in being too defensive.
No, just that they can't have any regrets. The issue is, of course, and there's talking about balance. I mean, Didier Deschamps, let's also be honest, he's even going to bed with 2 number 6s, because that's just what his style of play is. So he wants control. He will leave those 4 players up front, and if you have so much talent, it will work. But the problem is, of course, if there will be opponents, let's say Spain, and Lamine Yamal will play against Theo Hernandez, there will be an issue.
Let's talk about Spain. We talk about France, one of the big favourites. Spain, one of the big favourites. Possibly, what can stop France? Spain, I'm sure, is one answer in there. They were knocked out by Morocco on penalties last time around. Same thing. Can you judge them? I don't know. I mean, they've got their manager, Luis de la Fuente, took them to the Euros last time, beat England. We'll remember that one. But especially, they won every single game in that tournament. This is the team that is going on the front. And as well, Emily, they've got attack in there. Spain, do you think they can go all the way, even though you might be hoping for Switzerland?
Well, I'm definitely hoping for Switzerland. But yeah, I think Spain has huge potential. As always, they have huge World Cup pedigree and they have experience, not bottling games at high-stake games. We will talk about England a little bit later when it comes to the bottling, but which is a bit harsh. But no, I think they have absolutely a huge potential. And as you said, Lamine Yamal and Pedri in midfield, they have like a huge squad, huge depth of squad as well. Like the guys waiting on the benches, as with France, also huge names and huge
options between the
Squad
six
rotation
in
is
goal.
only so
rotations.
important in this tournament.
And
It's
in
longer
goal,
than ever.
David Raya, Unai Simon in there. It doesn't stop.
A sport of choice for goalkeepers as well. It's
Yeah, their
remarkable, really.
goalkeeper's choice is just crazy. I think someone was saying that Raya isn't like first choice.
No, he's
right?
not. He's prefer Simon.
Unai Simon going in there.
That's right.
Bold move for De La Fuente to not go for any Real Madrid players. He was criticised for that, but
I don't
makes
think
sense.
so. I think it makes what he said sums it up perfectly. He's not looking at the clubs. He's looking at Spanish players, and there is no standout Real Madrid player. I don't think that's really an issue, and I feel there was a lot of hype about that in the media. And obviously, it's a historic thing for Real Madrid, but as a Spanish coach, I don't think it's really a controversial decision. You've got so many other great players, and no, I don't think it's, for me, it's a non-subject. Really.
Similar tactic to Thomas Tuchel with England then?
Not at all. That's a whole different story, as we'll come to later on. No, there's some big names.
We'll
that
come
he
to it
lets
now.
out for
We'll come
England.
to it now. Thomas Tuchel taking the decision to make some big omissions in there. Who we've got? Cole Palmer not in there. Phil Foden not in there either. Trent Alexander-Arnold's not in there. But he's coming here, Thomas Tuchel, as a reminder, new manager for England, coming here with one objective in mind: to end
That's to
the
win.
60 years of hurt that have been for England. 1966, last time that the country that invented the sport or popularised the sports won a trophy at the World Cup. But Thomas Tuchel, is he the man to come and do it? You know Thomas Tuchel better than all of us.
I do.
With
Look,
him having taken Chelsea
He's
to
a winner,
the
and I
Champions League.
said it earlier this week. I think I have so much respect for what Gareth Southgate did, changing the culture of things, especially with the English tabloids, and just making England feel like a team. I've watched a few documentaries about that famous golden generation and where did it go wrong, and a lot of them spoke about sects almost between like Premier League clubs and how much competition there was between them back then and rivalry. And I think that's something that Southgate really changed. But something that he wasn't is that he wasn't a winner. He'd never won anything before. And I think now they've brought in Tuchel, who is a proven winner. He won the Champions League with Chelsea, albeit he did maybe inherit somebody else's team at Chelsea, but he's the one who
did it
went
elsewhere as
and
well.
won it. He's made some bold moves. I think it's an interesting one. There's obviously was so much symbolism really for England fans about a German coming in to manage a team, but he has that distance, and I think that can be quite good. He doesn't give a toss. He really does not care what the media says, what
You can
people
tell when you
think.
see him in press.
And he has that distance of not being an Englishman, which I think gives him a bit of an advantage to make those big calls that other people haven't done in the past.
Right.
Gareth Southgate went with big names. It's sometimes hard not to, right? England isn't the only, you've got Argentina with Messi and Ronaldo of Portugal. It's often a dilemma for managers. He's made some big calls. He's not taken Palmer. He's not taken Phil Foden. Neither of them have had the best season. I was surprised I thought he would do either or. I thought he would take Cole Palmer. I think you do need people who can have a moment of class in those moments and step up and just have a moment in a game. Maybe I'm saying this also as a Chelsea fan, I'm a bit gutted that he won't be there, but he's made some big calls. He knows the Premier League very well. I think he's made some really informed decisions, and it seems to be operating and trying to run England a bit more like a club. And we'll have to see. Are England up there with the big favourites? No, but I think that probably works in their favour as well, because it can be a lot of pressure having that label on you, and I think they're just going to have to
That pressure's
see.
not getting any
And it's
lighter,
a very,
is it?
very good midfield. I think it's one of the best midfields in the tournament, alongside Spain. Declan Rice, Saka. If these guys can perform, then England could be in with a shot. I think if we don't get to the semi-finals, that would be considered a failure for the Three Lions.
Are England going to look as unsure as frail as they could sometimes? And on the situation with Tuchel, is that something that he can change within them? Give them, when you talk about that winning mentality, which is going to give them that reassurance that sometimes they really did lack.
Well,
We've seen every time.
I think that the winning mentality is already there, and that's again, I think yeah, it's a bit double because under Gareth Southgate at least there's now a change of mentality has already been done. The big question is, of course, I mean, I don't know if this England team now is better than the one in the Euros finals 2 years ago. I think that will be the big question. We can talk about Rice, Saka, long seasons. How fit are they still? I'm waiting for the Heat explanation, but I'm afraid for the English as well for that. They're normally, imagine they would win the group. Then at some point they will meet first normally Mexico and then Brazil. I think that both those games are very, very dangerous. If you play in Mexico, against Mexico, in Mexico City, on altitude, in the heat, English players.
Oof, but that's why they've gone out. That's why they've gone out early compared to other teams. England have been there for a while. They've been some teams like France opted to play their last preparation matches in France. England opted to do that over there. So that's obviously part of this idea. But they are a bit up against it with the heat, I would say. And as you said, I don't think enough has been said about these conditions will give a bit of an advantage to Latin, South American teams because they will have that experience playing in the heat.
We're coming to you. How much is it going to? How much? Ruben wants to hear. How much is it going to impact?
I feel like this heat segment is really been hyped up quite a lot. But yeah, of course, everyone's been talking about how warm this World Cup is going to be, and we've all seen the photos of Declan Rice with his red nose and his watch strap clearly visible in all of the promotion photos. So clearly they suffer from the sun like I do as well.
I'm very concerned about Kevin De Bruyne as well.
Yeah, well, all of the very fair-skinned players, I think, are going to have to, dosh on the sun cream. But everyone's been talking about this. So there are a few things to keep in mind when you talk about heat. First of all, if you look at the FIFA Club World Cup that was hosted in the US and you take the average temperature from that was warmer than the last 4 World Cups. These are similar temperatures that we're dealing with now. Of course, FIFA's done a few things about it. They've delayed game times. They've tried to install these water breaks. But the main thing that people are concerned about is basically the wet bulb globe temperature. Now, that's what people use when they're talking about the impact of heat and conditions on athletes. It was started by the military. It takes into account humidity, direct sunlight, temperature, wind speeds.
And it's a measure that you can apply to any
cover.
Place and situation.
Any place and time, you can basically use that measure to try and tell when is a body going to start suffering from it. As you can see in this graphic here, the limit is currently at 32 degrees under that wet bulb globe temperature under FIFA regulations. From that point then, if that's the temperature before a game, they can postpone it if they want to. But experts are asking them to lower the threshold to 28 degrees because around 26 is when the body will really, really start overheating because that's when basically your sweat doesn't evacuate temperature as it should because it can't evaporate. And so you just keep getting warmer and you start shutting down. So this year, around 26 of the 104 games are expected to reach that 26 degree kind of threshold where bodies really start getting put under pressure. Now, heat is one problem, but we've also got the extreme weather problem because we saw that England's game against who was the warm-up game?
Costa Rica
against Costa Rica. Yeah, that the graphic isn't correct there. It's against Costa Rica was postponed because of extreme weather. So these are something to look out for because with El Nino and climate change, it's probably going to get a lot worse, and there might be more instances of there being extreme weather that could threaten games. And then the final consideration when it comes to players and how they're going to be experiencing this World Cup is altitude. You were talking about it earlier. All the games in Mexico are quite high. So you've got Mexico City, the stadium, the Azteca Stadium, is at 2,200 meters of altitude, and
which is something that takes time.
Which is something that takes time, and so you've got teams like South Korea were training at Salt Lake City in the US, which is also at altitude. Colombia, obviously, staying in Bogota, which is also at high altitude. But teams that know that they're going to be playing in those stadiums have already started preparing. The Czech Republic hasn't been able to have enough time to prepare for their games, so the coach was already saying this is something we would have liked to have more time to prepare for, because obviously altitude is a huge impact on the body. And the other stadium in Guadalajara is also at around 1,600 meters of elevation. So it is something that they're going to be having to deal with. And as you said, some teams are going to be more affected than others. If you think about I think it was teams like Sweden, Norway, Scotland, England, Switzerland. They're the teams that are playing in areas with the biggest average temperature gap from where they're usually used to playing. So those are the teams that we have to look out for.
Looks like something has really been done in favour for France then.
Maybe.
Now that you've got all the facts there, all the heat facts, Ruben, is this something that you think managers might end up changing the style of play for the teams? Is high possession going to be something that we're going to, play around?
Well, the main thing that will affect is that there will be more games. So it means that you have to even more save energy, and that's where Didier Deschamps comes in as a very good manager, because that's what we have seen in the tournaments. They know very well that those group stage matches,
72 group stage games.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that they won't care about how it will end. 3 times 1-0 or twice 1-0 and 1-0-0, perfect. Let's rotate some players, give some other guys playing time. That is the perfect scenario for all these teams. And we're seeing it more and more in these major tournaments, especially in the tournaments like now with 48 teams, but we see it also on the Euros or the AFCON where it's 24 teams, where you know that the third team will qualify sometimes. It will be even more calculating. So I think that it will be more... they will be more going towards that to save energy as much as they can until the moment where the big matchup will come, and that will be normally in the round of 16 quarterfinals, and from then on it will be all out. You also have to say, for me it was always in Europe at least, it was the proper Real Madrid strategy. You didn't see them in September, October, November, even December. Very bad games in the Champions League, but when the clutch games came on.
A bit like PSG now.
And really. PSG right now, exactly. That's where I wanted to go to, because Luis Enrique really managed to transform this whole mentality as well. Whereas before, PSG played always their best games in November. Now they are showing up in March. So it will be all about just really saving energy for the right moment.
Using the times right. Well, let's take a listen to Luis de la Fuente, then, Spain's manager, to hear what he had to say about chances of winning, not just for him, but for everybody in the tournament. Here he is.
We fear no team, but we have a great respect for all of them. In my opinion, this will be the World Cup with the most genuine contenders to win the title in history. I believe Spain is among them, but the competition among the teams to win the title is going to be fierce.
It's going to be fierce to win the title. 8 teams in history have won the World Cup. Do you think we can still get an outsider?
I don't think it's going to happen this time. I think it's one of, I'd say, 6 teams. I'm starting to think maybe we could put Brazil in there potentially. That's not obviously a dark horse at all. But I think I can't see. Obviously, I think what can happen again is like what we saw in 2022, Morocco making history, being the first African team to go to semi-finals. I think obviously there'll be some sort of surprise in that respect where maybe someone we didn't expect gets to the quarterfinals or even maybe the semis. But I can't see quite yet a team that we've not mentioned up there with the favourites getting all the work going.
There's a team that's been in the final 3 times.
There is. I know where you're going now.
Don't know if you ever heard about them.
No idea what you're talking about.
And it's funny because there's a famous formula that's been doing the rounds. I don't know if you've seen this, James.
Tell me.
A German economist who has predicted correctly all the winners since 2014. So his home Germany was his first one. Has said the Netherlands will win. He's got a very complicated formula.
But it works.
It's worked since 2014, so we'll have to see if it. I would really be surprised if it works this time around.
Ruben, can the Netherlands get their name?
I don't believe it. No, I'm sorry. I think I think the Netherlands are lacking too much in every department. The defense is decent, but especially up front, there's not enough firepower. A lot of players coming out of very poor seasons.
You had some impressive times at the last World Cup.
Yeah, but that's
going out on penalties again.
I wanted to mention it because last World Cup we also knew exactly what was going to happen, but we still had Morocco and Croatia in the semi-finals, and nobody predicted that before the tournament. So there will be a surprise. I think that the surprise will come out of the American side, but at least out of the Americas. If the Dutch team would go really far, it's already not an easy group. playing against Sweden,
coach?
playing against Japan. First game against Japan will be a very tricky one, I think. Japan is mentioned by many as a big outsider to go far.
Best team in
Also, with the heat, could be dealing with it. And then normally in the second round, you'll play or Brazil or Morocco. Netherlands-Morocco would be a very tasty one, also because of the connection between the two countries and the big minority in the Netherlands of Moroccan people and players that are born in both countries and playing for both countries. So
There's going to be high expectations for Morocco.
Yeah, well,
AFCON winners.
Yeah.
Semi-final
Can we
last
say
time
that?
round.
Can we say AFCON winners officially?
AFCON winners on in the final decision at
Decision
least.
pending.
Right, I'm going to go with that one.
It could
but
be interesting already just to talk a bit about the African teams in general. But yeah, Morocco, there will be a huge pressure because they were in the semis last time. But yeah, new coach. How will that work out? I think an interesting group, a good group for them, because normally they are odds-on favorites against both Scotland and Haiti. Against Brazil will be a bonus match. And then normally the second round they will play or Japan or Netherlands.
And we've got impressive sides, as you say, in African countries. We've got Senegal.
It's
AFCON winners.
For me, those two have to regardless of. Also, they're both AFCON finalists. Let's
Right,
put it that
AFCON
way.
finalists,
But I think those are the two that everybody's looking to go the furthest for the continent.
What about
they both
Ivory
have-
Coast and DRC? DRC, who we don't see perform enough on the international stage. We see them impress so much in the Africa Cup of Nations.
Let's make it a bit broader. I think we are now 48 teams. These 48 teams are also there, especially because we wanted more African teams. I mean, Gianni Infantino is very close to the African continent, and it was one of the main reasons. We have had many discussions about having only 5 African teams in the World Cup, that it was not enough. This is the time that they can show it. We have now 10 teams there. I think that you need at least 6, maybe 7 that can go into the second round. If you have out of 48, 32 going through. For me, Morocco and Senegal, should be. Egypt has an easy group, should also go through.
Ghana, who are going to be back.
Algeria has a big potential. Ghana is difficult with England and Croatia, but
Ghana,
Tough.
could go. DRC is the question mark, as is Cape Verde. Cape Verde with both Spain and Uruguay.
That's going to be a rough.
Not easy, but again, we are talking about third teams winning the game against Saudi Arabia.
And once these teams do get into the knockout stage,
Yeah.
they're just going to give it all. I mean,
Yeah.
that is the chance they've,
Yeah, but I'm forgetting now. Algeria said we have Tunisia still.
Egypt as well, as we mentioned.
Yeah. Well, Egypt for me should also go through, but I really think this is the moment also for Africa and the African teams to shine on the world stage. You have to go through with at least 6 teams to really also justify the fact that there are now 10 teams there. In my opinion, I think that the African continent is improving every time. We had Morocco in the semis last time, so. Yeah, will be very interesting to follow because, especially with all those newcomers, that's of course, well, you said it. That's what we're looking forward to in those group stages, right?
How are we feeling about the defending champions, Argentina, coming in there? They're coming in. I mean, it's similarities from their team from last time. Some players getting older, not getting any younger. They won the Copa America. But is this something? I mean, defending it's very, very, very rare. Italy and Brazil are the only sides to have defended their title in the World Cup. How possible is it for Argentina? Anyone feel that?
It's possible. Do I think they'll do it? Probably not. As you said, I think it's a very similar team to Qatar. It's a bit of maybe a more aging team.
Messi's last dance.
Messi's last dance.
Messi's last dance.
Yeah, he said last one was going to be his last dance.
Yeah, so we never can trust
But
him.
you probably think this one would be his last one. I can't see them doing it, but
Yeah, it's tough. But I mean, Ruben's predicted a surprise from South America. Brazil, a new team as well, new manager, world-class manager as well. We talked about him just coming in earlier on. Carlo Ancelotti,
I mean,
that is.
no foreign manager has ever managed to win the World Cup, but I think if anyone can, it's obviously Ancelotti. He is the ultimate winner.
I mean, it's
a good
the one
team.
thing that's missing for
It's
him,
a
right?
good team. I think I was a bit shocked at the decision about Neymar. I think he made that decision maybe just to silence the noise around it, because obviously there's a lot of
So the fact
there
that
was
he
a
did
lot of
choose
noise
Neymar.
about that, and a lot of people wanting him to be in the team. He's obviously such an important figure for Brazil. I think that's going to be more of a maybe a mascot kind of role for him, but we'll see. He's probably maybe has a presence in the dressing room. I'm kind of shocked he didn't choose João Pedro after the season he had with Chelsea, but there's so many big names in there. If he can get the best out of Vinicius Junior, then Brazil could do something. Rafinha as well is obviously a great player. You've got Gabriel and Marquinhos in defence. It's a good team.
And so again, someone else who's looking for a team rather than, as you say, bringing the stars in there. There are other sides that could perhaps cause a bit of an upset. I'm thinking of the likes of Ecuador as one of the names in South America. We're talking a lot about their defence in there. You think they can at least let's take a look at their group if I can find it out. But you feel that they can.
Group E, Germany,
they're in Germany's
and Ivory Coast.
There we go.
So that's a
It's
pretty
a tough one.
good group. That's an interesting group. I think that Ivory Coast and Ecuador will be going toe to toe to try to get that
Germany
second
going to get
spot.
out of the group stage?
But will Germany get out of the group stage? With this new format, if they don't get out this time, then I think there's some real problems.
Some real trouble.
We've not spoken about Germany at all, which is crazy when you think about it and all the history that they have.
Not that long champions.
Can we call them dark horses? I don't think so still. But that is a very, very interesting group, and that will be an interesting battle, I think, for second place. I would assume between Ivory Coast and Ecuador, but never say never, because Germany's misfortunes in World Cups as of late have been quite infamous.
And we've got another side, Scotland, who could maybe cause us a bit of an upset. They haven't been in a World Cup since 1998. They had that sensational qualifier against Denmark, it was, that finished 4-2. Are these sides that either of you feel that can, again, is this something that this format, I know, Emily, you said you like this format, are we going to see these teams perform and, perhaps get a bigger place on the centre stage there?
Well, I hope Scotland can make it out of the group, at least as best third, one of the best third placed teams. They're obviously in a group with Brazil and Morocco, so I think it's going to be quite a tough start to the competition for them. But they've got brilliant players, and hopefully they don't have to pull out of the tournament for sunburn. I saw some people online saying that might be a risk as well, looking at their squads after warming up. But no, I think they have a great potential.
Ruben, I'm not sure you're laughing, but I'm not sure the Dutch are going to do that much.
No.
In terms of managing the summer.
I don't know how far they can go. They got McGinn. As an Aston Villa fan, I'm looking forward to watching him play for Scotland. So yeah, let's see how far they can go.
All right. Well, we've put together a starting 11 that we here believe not necessarily our favourite players or ones who think we are good, but who are going to stand out, who are not going to fail, who are not going to flop in this tournament. We're going to put it up on the screen now, and in 5 weeks' time, you can have a good laugh if we fail on some of them. But here is who we feel are going to perform very well. If in the gallery we can get the starting 11 for France 24's prediction, there it is. And there we have it. So we've had to put several of our opinions together. I've had to do a mishmash of all of us.
James was the referee, shall we say.
I was the referee on this one here. Let's start down at the bottom. This one wasn't only on your list, I think,
great.
Selena.
Good to know.
With your Belgian sides,
Yeah.
Thibaut Courtois, I think, Ruben, you agreed that he's going to be the standout goalkeeper of this tournament, the two of you.
Look, I mean, he's a class goalkeeper. Obviously, I don't know how far Belgium will go. They'll definitely get out of the group stages. I'd like to think they could get to the quarterfinals, but he's such a class keeper still after all these years. 35, I think he is now, still performing at the top level. Yeah, for me, there was really no debate in it being Thibaut Courtois.
There's a lot of big goalkeepers, though, coming in this. We've got Martinez in Argentina. We've got
Manuel Neuer.
Neuer back for Germany
what
as
a comeback,
well.
yeah.
But Thibaut Courtois is better than all these. That's all, yeah, and that's why I
Alisson
picked
as
him.
well.
Yeah.
Right, and we've got some PSG talent in there, in the names of Nuno Mendes in there. We've also got William Pacho, who we're talking about Ecuador. Any word that you think that Ecuador can do? I mean, they've got not just Pacho in there who can perform.
It's an incredible fact that they only conceded 6 goals in the qualification in South America, when you know that you have to play in Brazil, in Argentina, but also in Colombia.
They can hold
Peru.
their weight then.
They are very decent in defense. It's also more. I also chose him.
It's scoring that's their issue.
Yeah, but
But you don't need a score to win a World
I mean,
Cup. Not every time.
The problem of
Right?
the problem of the question of making such a team is that you also are going to talk about teams that are going far. So, for example, I think that Achraf Hakimi is the best right back in the world, right?
Right, I think we've agreed on him. We
Yeah.
put him in the
Yeah,
starting
but
11
I
there.
don't agree on him because I don't think Morocco will go very far. I think that in the second round they will be out. So, and then you cannot put him in the team.
No, but on individual performance, we feel like
that's the issue, of course, with these, because now if you look,
these players are not all going to be playing together in the final, Ruben.
No, but the problem is, if you now look at these 11 players, there's no Spanish player in there.
I did think that as I can't believe Lamine Yamal's not.
Yeah,
It was tough. We didn't know where to go. I mean, I did take a decision on putting Michael Olise in there because I do feel like he's going to shine, especially after the last game that we had in there. We've got Shirky behind as well. I mentioned one player who's going to stand out, who should stand out on the international stage.
Look, when you have Shirky probably coming off the bench for France, wow, like he's a really great talent. He's had a great season with City. When you've got players like that can come off the bench for you for France.
Declan Rice, you agree with that?
Declan Rice has had a great season. Great midfielder for me, defensive midfielder.
And Vinicius in there from
Vitinha,
Brazil.
obviously,
We say
fast
that
midfielder.
Ancelotti knows very well, of course, from his time with him in club. And Harry Kane, is this his time? Is this time for the Ballon d'Or? If he does well, 61 goals all throughout the whole season, incredible time.
If England do well at this World Cup, I would say that he is well en route for the Ballon d'Or. But obviously, I think a lot hinges on this World Cup for the Ballon d'Or. I wouldn't say right now there's one overwhelming, obvious candidate. More and more talk about maybe Olise, who's also had a very good season with Bayern Munich. So I think a lot is riding on this World Cup. Obviously, you've got the Golden Boot as well. From my memory, there's no player that's won it twice. I might stand to be corrected. But Kylian Mbappe and Harry Kane are two players that could well achieve that feat for the first time.
Again, could have put Kylian Mbappe up there in front. All right, let's have a quick round of predictions before we go. Ruben, who's going to win?
The World Cup? Spain.
The World Cup. Spain is going to win the World Cup.
I think France.
France is going to win. And
I'm going with France. I have to.
I'm going to hold to France as well here. Although it's tough to believe. I mean, to be honest, it's tough to believe, as we say. Like, it's hard to get the double in there. But I think we'll get a better idea once it all kicks off. All kicks off tonight in just a 4 minutes time. So you can head over and watch. If you're not watching France 24, of course, you can head off and watch the opening game between Mexico and South Africa. Celino, we're going to let you fly off to Boston to go and follow all of the French side. Allez les Bleus. Emily, see you. You'll be on here tomorrow morning with all the results of. You'll be staying up all night watching all the games there.
Bright and early, yeah.
Bright and early. And Ruben, you'll be back with us as well throughout the tournament. You'll be here tomorrow lunchtime. Right.
No, not yet. I will be there next week. Yeah,
we'll be here together next week to go through it. Absolutely all right. Sure. Pleasure to have you all. And we'll be following the tournaments. Follow the tournaments with us here on France 24 every day. Then all throughout the day in Paris and over in the United States for all the latest on World Cup 2026. Bye for now.
Every week, Mark Perelman talks one-on-one to a personality at the heart of the news.
He is doing everything he can to try to stop the clean energy revolution.
There are still these responsibilities of why.
This has been the main contention point probably for a long time.
But we are a people who want to be free.
The French, you tell us, the spirit of equality, fraternity, for what?
Hear the views that matter in Tête à Tête every week on France 24 and France24.com.